Good morning, 5th grade. We're going to go ahead and get started on the next section of Chapter 9. Be aware that this is the last section we're going to do before we have an assessment. We're going to kind of cut Chapter 9 in half because there's 8 sections and that would be a lot to fit on one test. So, I'm at the bottom of my page here, but I had enough space to write my heading. We're going to be talking about something today called box and whisker plots. And I've also put today's date off in the corner. Today is the 20th. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you did not print out the cutouts page, please do that now. You're also going to need 5 different highlighters or 5 different markers, crayons. Just have like 5 different colored writing utensils in front of you because we are going to need them. I'll show you in just a moment what we're going to be doing. So before we actually get to making our own box and whisker plots, we're going to talk about what they are, and I'm going to draw you an example. So a box and whisker plot, I'm going to actually write that at the top. I'm going to draw like a diagram of it. Box and, if you want to write the word "and," you can. I usually just use the symbol for "and." Box and whisker plot. It's also sometimes called a box plot. And a box plot is a visual representation of the data. If we have like a set of numbers, it shows us kind of like what it looks like along a number line, how far it's spread out, which numbers are close together, and I'm going to show you an example of one. So I'm just going to draw a number line, just like this. And I'm going to mark it off by 2's, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and I'm going to count up to 20. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. There we go. Perfect. All right. So, box and whisker plot is always along a number line. And the reason it's called a box and whisker plot is because it's got 2 main parts. It's got the box and it's got 2 whiskers. So, I'm going to mark 5 different points on this number line. I'm going to do it above the number line because it'll be easier to draw my box and my whiskers then. So I'm going to put a dot right above 9. 9 isn't shown on here, but that's okay. I know that it would be right in between 8 and 10. I'm going to put one above 6, one above 16, one above 20, and then one at 2. I always want to make my number line big enough so that I can fit everything on the number line comfortably. All right, I wouldn't want, smushed too close to the end or have a number line so long that I've got 5 extra numbers over here or something. I want it just big enough to fit my data on there. So I'm going to show you what the box would look like. So you see where I marked all these dots? These middle 3, 1, 2, 3, would look like this. I'm going to put a line through it, and that one, and that one, and these guys make up my box. I'm going to connect those lines. Not the straightest lines, but that's okay. So these 3 data points take up the box of my box and whisker plot. And then what I'm going to do from this dot to the last one, I'm going to just draw a line. And from this dot to the last one here, I draw a line. Not straight, but you get the idea. So this here is the box, and these guys here are the whiskers. And I'm just going to write the values above so we can see them clearly. 6, that's 9, 16, and 20. Okay. So we're going to talk about what each of these values are. So in our box and whisker plot, we always have 5 key values. Those are all the ones you see up here in our diagram. This is sometimes called the 5 number summary. If ever a problem asks for the 5-number summary, they're talking about the 5 key values of a box and whisker plot. So we've got 5 of them. We're going to talk about each one, and this is where you're going to, oh wait, where are my highlighters? This is where you're going to want your 5 different colors of highlighters or markers or crayons. I misplaced mine. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I found them. Alright, so got my highlighters, and we are ready to go. So we're just going to start from the lowest value up to the highest and talk about the name of each one. So we're going to start with the lowest value. That is always a whisker on your box and whisker plot. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. That is my lowest value. Okay? The next number that you see, it's kind of like the first line of your box. This is what we call the lower quartile. Fancy word. And when we get into actually making our own, you're going to see that this is the median of the bottom half of the data. And I will explain more what that means in a moment. So I'm just going to grab another highlighter. This one might come out a little bit dark, and I apologize for that if you can't see the words. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. The next one, that's our number 9. This is the median of the whole data set. This is the median. Remember, median means middle number. You highlight that in a different color. You can do whatever colors you want, just make sure you're doing each one a different color. Alright. The next one, this is our number 16. This is what we call the upper quartile. And this, since the lower quartile is the median of the bottom half, the upper quartile is going to be the median of the upper half. And again, I will explain what that means when we start making our own box and whisker plots. Grab another color. Upper quartile. And last one, this is our final whisker. This is our highest value. And one more color. Okay, perfect. So pretty. All right. Now, if I'm looking at a box and whisker plot, I know a couple things right off the bat. For example, if someone were to ask me, what's the median of this data set? I know I'm going to look at the very center number. That's the center, well, not really the center of my box, but the kind of middle part here of my box. Sometimes your median would be off to one side. Sometimes it would be directly in the middle. But, you know, in this case, it's kind of skewed off to one side. But at any rate, if someone asked you, well, what's the median of this data set, you'd be able to look right at it and go, it's 9. Because this represents my median. If someone asked you, well, what's the range of this data set? You know that you're going to look at the highest value and the lowest value, and you're going to subtract them. So you'd be able to say, well, the range is 18, because 20 minus 2 is 18. All right, we are going to get into actually making some of our own box and whisker plots. Now, let me think for a second, because the next cutout I have for you is a little big. Yeah, I'm going to go to a new page. If you have half a page or less, you're going to need a brand new one. because this next cutout is a little big and I want it to stay on the page that you're working on so we don't have to keep flipping back and forth. So this is going to be number 1. Okay, and the cutout I have here is just kind of like the steps that we're going to follow as we make a box and whisker plot, also known as a box plot. Eventually you won't have to look at this every single time, but I put it in there, you know, just in case you need a refresher on, like if you're doing homework or something and you need to know, oh, what do I do next? You can refer back to this. So I'm going to pause and glue in, please. Alrighty, got mine glued in. And I'm also, oh wait, I have one more glue one I need to do. Gotta do this one too. Sorry guys, be right back. Okay, now I'm ready to move on. I also put a letter A next to this one because this is going to be our first example. Actually, let me just adjust myself real quick so I'm a little more comfortable. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we are going to draw a box and whisker plot that's going to be a visual of this data here. So let me read through this and then we will get started. A girls basketball team had the following scores: 7, 10, 16, 18, 20, 22, 22, 25, 30, 37, and 43. Construct a box and whisker plot to represent the data. So we are going to take this step by step. We're going to follow all the steps that we have here, and then we'll have our box and whisker plot. So the first step says to put the values in order, least to greatest. We are lucky. They already did that for us, so step 1 is done. I'm actually just going to write them underneath here so I have a little bit more space to work with. So we have 7, 10, 16, 18, 20, 22, 22 a second time, 25, 30, 37, and 43. Okay, very good. So there are all our scores already ordered for us, least to greatest. Then it says to find median number. So we're going to find the median of this whole data set. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I mean the 6th number would be the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, okay. So here is my median. All right. So this is the first part of my box and whisker plot. This is going to be kind of like that middle bar of the box. All right, now what we're going to do, we're on step 3 now. It says split the data into the lower half and the upper half. So from your median, everything that is less than the median, this is your lower half. I'm just going to label it lower. You don't have to do this every single time, just for the first one because, you know, first time we're doing it. And then this here is going to be your upper half. Okay. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about. I'm just going to flip back real quick. Remember how I said we have a lower quartile and upper quartile? And it's the median of the bottom half and median of the upper half? That's where I was talking about, you know, halves. That's what that meant. Okay. So now we're going to find, we're in step 4, we're going to find the median of the lower half of the data. So let's take a look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values. That means 16 is going to be my lower quartile. Step 5 says to find the least value. That's pretty easy. It's going to be this guy right here. So we're done with the bottom half. We can check that one off. We are finished. Now we move to the upper half. So we're on step 6, where it says find the median of the upper half. So this is the upper quartile. Again, since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, our third one will be the middle. That's 30. Then we're going to find our greatest value, and that's pretty easy. It's going to be the last one here since we already ordered them from least to greatest. And now we are done with the upper half. Boom, boom. Before I move on, I always like to write out my 5-number summary just so I have all the values right there in front of me. So my 5-number summary, and I'm just going to abbreviate it, is 7, 16, 22, 30, and 43. Now we are ready to actually draw our box and whisker plot, and that is the last step for step 9. So I'm going to draw a number line. I'm going to draw it nice and big so that I have lots of room to work. All right, now it ranges from 7 up to 43. So I'm going to think how I want to space this out. I think I'm going to count off by 5s. You know, do tick mark 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 45. I think that would be a good enough space. You don't have to do that scale. You can do a different scale. You can count by 10s, you can count by 3s, you can count by 2s, you can count by 1s if your number line is long enough. But you know, sometimes it depends what space you have to work. So I'm going to go ahead and count off by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Ooh, maybe I could have done a little bigger. Oh well, that's okay. 30, 35, 40, 45. Yeah, I made my number line a little long. That's okay. Alright, so we are now going to go ahead and do our, I'm going to mark dots above where my number should go. So 7 would be about right here. 16 would be right about there. 22 right here. 30 and 43 right about there. Okay, so I've marked off where each of the numbers of my 5-number summary go along my number line. Now I will draw my box. So I'm going to draw a line here, line here, line here. Remember, your middle 3 numbers, those make up the box. So there's a box. I'm going to define those a little bit better. There we go. And then from this point up is a whisker, and this point down is another whisker. So we have made our first box and whisker plot. Let's go ahead and try another. Actually, guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to pause for just a sec. Okay, I am back. All right, so I am going to, I don't have a ton of room, so I'm going to hop off to the top of my next page, and I'm going to put a letter B. And you're going to grab your next cutout, which should look like this, and please glue that in. Okay, so I have my cutout glued in, so let's go ahead and get started. So for this one, they are not put in order, so we will have to do step 1, which is to put all of our values in order. So let's get started with that. I have 1 here, then 5, then, oh, big jump. We go up to 10, then 13, 13, then 15, 18, 20, and 20. I got 15. Okay. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Okay. So we have all of our values in order, least to greatest. So let's go ahead and find the median. Since there are 9 values, the middle value would be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. All right. So here is my median of the whole data set. Now I'm going to split it in half. Here's my lower half, and here's my upper half. Is my pen running out of ink? Nope, we're good. Boop, there we go. Perfect. All right, now let's find the median of the lower half. We are on this would be like step 4. Now, since there are 4 values, I have to find the middle of the middle here. So remember how we find the median if we've got an even number of values? We're going to take the middle 2, we're going to add them together, and we're going to divide by 2. So this would be like 15 divided by 2. So that would be, and I'm just going to write it as a decimal, 7.5. Okay, so 7.5 would be right in the middle. That is going to be my lower quartile. And now step 5, we're going to find the least value. That will be 1. Okay, now let's move on to the upper half. Lower half is done. So let's find the median of the upper half. That's our upper quartile. So it's going to be right in between 18 and 20. You could add them together and divide by 2, but you would know directly in between these guys is 19. So that's got to be your upper quartile. And your highest value is going to be 20. All right, so we have our 5-number summary. Let's go ahead and write it out. So our 5-number summary is going to be 1, 7.5, 13, 19, and 20. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw my number line. Nice and big, lots of room to work. And I think for this one, I'm going to count by 2s to do mine. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Awesome. I made it just the right amount of space that time. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot each of our numbers here. So 1 would be down here, 7 and 5/10. 7 would be right in between here, so I'm just going to kind of do it off whoops, let me put it up more. Sorry, not that one. Up a little bit more so that it's right in between 7 and 8. 13 would be right here. 19 is here. And 20 is right next door. All right, so let's draw our box plot. So remember, the middle 3 numbers make up the box. So they would look something like that. And then the last 2 guys are our whiskers. So you can see for this one, the least value is really far away. Our whisker is like really, really long. But for our upper one, it's really short. We only had to jump like 1 space from our upper quartile to our highest value here. Interesting. Let's try one more. And I want you guys to try this next one on your own. So please glue this in. You're going to pause and glue in. I want you to try it by yourself. See if you can figure it out, and then play the rest of the video to see how I do mine and see if our answers match at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and solve this. The first thing I need to do is put these guys in order least to greatest. So we'd have 5, 6, next would be 11, then 13, then 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I've got 8 values. That means I'm not really going to have a middle value, so I'm going to have to figure it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's pretty easy. My median would have to be 14. You could add them together and divide by 2, but you know that 14 sits right in between. So this is my lower half. You do include 13 in there. And this is my upper half. I do include 15 in there. So let's go ahead and find the median of the lower half. This is my lower quartile. So it's going to be right in between 6 and 11. This one I am going to add together and divide by 2. So that would be 17 over 2. So my median here would be 8.5. That's right in between. And this is my lowest value. All right, lower half, done with that one. Let's go ahead and do the upper half. Median here, I could add them together and divide by 2, but I know directly in between here would have to be 16.5. And here is my highest value. All right, so my 5-number summary is going to look like this. I have 5, 8.5, 14, 16.5, and 18. Perfect. Let's go ahead, draw our number line. I always do it up too high. Let me do it a little lower. That way my box doesn't have to be all squished. Okay. I might actually be able to count off by ones starting at 5. I might do that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I think I overestimated a little bit. I did. That's okay. 15, 16, 17. I gotta squish it. 18. There we go. Good enough. Alrighty, so my median is 14. I'm going to go ahead and plot it. 8.5. Whoa, it's a really big jump here, isn't it? And then 5. And 16.5 and 18. Okay. So these guys are going to make up my box. Whisker and whisker. Perfect. And that, ignore that one. That's not supposed to be there. All right, you can kind of see a lot of my data is like almost smushed down here at the end. And then it's like woo, really spread out over here. So that is how you make a box and whisker plot. So I'm going to have you guys pause. You're going to head on over to IXL and practice. If you want to have this in front of you while you're practicing, that's not a bad idea.